Hi guys! So I wanted to do something a little different and do a voiceover for this video. I hope you enjoy it, but if you don't, I apologize and you can just watch the video on mute if you prefer it that way. So I have not done a puzzle in a very long time, over a year, so I was really excited to get back to it. I had started a 3,000 piece puzzle that I was really excited about, but it was unfortunately a casualty of the great fire/moving incident of 2016. So I did not have that. And I also lost my puzzle mat. So as you can see, I started on a piece of foam board because I was so impatient to get started while I was waiting for my new puzzle mat to come. And I got a larger puzzle mat this time because I wanted to do some larger puzzles, and my previous one was only for 1,000 piece. So this is a 2,000 piece puzzle, so it's a little bit bigger, which is good that I got the new puzzle mat. So my strategy for a puzzle is pretty straightforward. I always do the edges first, like I think most people. And then I actually like to do it by color after that. So you can see I started with pink and then I moved on to yellow. Oh, and here's Pippin making a appearance. Unfortunately, the only place that I could really work on this in my new apartment is on the floor in the living room where the bunnies are. So I had to be a little creative in trying to keep it away from them, and I did not always succeed. There are some pieces that definitely got chewed on, and they liked to come see what I was doing when I was sitting on the floor working. But after working on the colors for a while, that kind of didn't work for this one because there is a lot of different scenes and I did not know what they were and what they were depicting because I don't look at the pictures and I didn't look at the top of the box. This puzzle was actually a gift from my boyfriend, so I really had no idea. I only saw it when I first opened it and then never looked at the top again. So eventually I kind of had to move on to a different strategy of just trying to find motifs that work. So right here I was working on that bottom corner where there's a bunch of autumn leaves, and I tried to find all the autumn leaf pieces that I could find. And then I started kind of from there working outward, and it was a very slow process. This is probably it's definitely the longest puzzle that I've ever done. Oh, here's Feely. He didn't want to go away. I had to kind of nudge him off. He's a little bit more curious than Pippin sometimes. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so yes, I was not in any hurry with this puzzle as I was just getting back into it and I just wanted to enjoy it. My boyfriend was out of town for a few weeks on work, so I really had a lot of free time, and I was just trying to enjoy this. So there is definitely no rush, and you'll see that I am taking my time with this. Just a piece here and a piece there. As you can see, it's already been 6.5 hours, and I've not even really gotten that much of it. This was exciting because I started to figure out at least a little bit of where things were going up there on the top. That's always a big battle, especially for something like this where there's not a overall picture that I can necessarily make sense of, like, oh, sky's at the top, grass is at the bottom, because there was sky in lots of different places on here, which definitely made it a little bit more difficult. But that's part of the fun, right? I actually like those challenges, although sometimes they frustrate me, but you can see the changing light throughout this. So if I was working during the day, I have nice big glass doors in my living room that let in a fair amount of light. But at night, I had to use the overhead light, which is very yellow and definitely changes the colors and everything. I was actually having a really hard time telling the pink from the orange when I was working in the yellow light. So I tried to work in the daylight as much as possible. Although it got kind of rainy here for the last few days, so it was even during the day not very bright, and I had to use the overhead. One disadvantage of working on the floor with these is that my back was killing me after doing this for a couple hours a day every day. I'm not as young as I used to be, I guess. So that was a big moment. I had been kind of working piece on piece and wasn't getting anywhere, and then I realized there was a building, and so I built the building that ended up being the Taj Mahal. So that was exciting that I was able to kind of take a bigger chunk forward at that point, although I still have no idea where most of these chunks that I have been building are going to end up, and so that becomes difficult as they get larger and larger, and then I have to kind of move them around. this puzzle mat, which I'll link below. It's actually pretty good. It's one of the ones that comes with a foam tube that you can roll up, and it works pretty well. But it's kind of a rough surface almost, so the pieces don't slide over it easily, which is good. You don't want the pieces to slide over it, especially when you've rolled it up and you're moving it around. But when I'm trying to drag delicate sections that I've put together, it was kind of frustrating sometimes because they wouldn't move very easily. You can see more bunnies coming through. Feely was the one that chewed on all the pieces. Not all of them, but he took a liking to grabbing a piece on the border and just pulling whole chunks of the border out. So several times I had to go back and put the border back together because he had gotten a piece of it. Because I put a blanket over it when I wasn't working on it. At first I rolled it up, but I was getting sick of doing that every time. So I just left a blanket over it. And he would kind of go under the edge of the blanket to find the border. He's a clever bunny, I'll give him that. So this was good. I figured out that the Taj Mahal went up in that corner, and I got a lot of the America section down. I started to figure out what the theme of the puzzle was, that it was like different parts of the world and some of the iconic buildings and structures from those different areas. So that bottom portion is America. And then there's, the Taj Mahal. I built the Leaning Tower of Pisa, although I still don't know where it goes. I started building, there's a telephone booth. I knew that was going to be Britain. And the Great Pyramids are that yellow part in the middle. And there's also a hot air balloon there. That's just, there were several of them in the puzzle. I think that was part of the theme. The different skies are starting to come together a little bit, starting to make a little bit more sense. It's actually surprising how far away from being done I am at this point. You would think, like, it looks like I'm getting close, but there's still several hours left. But it was still good. There was a lot of progress here, that things were actually starting to fit together. That's always really exciting when I'm working on the chunks like that, and when I see how they fit together. Usually it's just one piece, and there'll be just like one little hint that, oh, this actually matches up with that piece that I've been working on totally separately and had no idea that they were the same thing. That's one of the best parts of doing a puzzle. So that was good. I got more of there's books along with some of these, and the titles I realized were themed in accordance with the area that they were in. So those books that are next to the Leaning Tower talk about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I recognized the llama. That was how I knew that was going to be Machu Picchu, because I was actually just at Machu Picchu a couple months ago. So I thought that was kind of funny. I recognized the llama, and then I was like, oh, this is going to be Machu Picchu. I finally figured out where the Leaning Tower were going. That was one of the last pieces that I was able to actually put somewhere. And then a lot of this is just really slowly, one piece at a time, going through all of the pieces and trying to figure out where they go. This is kind of a frustrating stage at this point, because there's still, as you can see, some big chunks that I need to work on, but I don't know what those look like, and the pieces that I have in the box aren't cluing me in and to what is going to go in there. And so it's a lot of trial by error, really closely examining the pieces, like, hey, this color looks familiar, because it gets hard to recognize what's happening on each individual piece once you get down to some of these stranger corners and stuff that aren't as immediately straightforward. But I think I start to really pick up some steam here at the end. This was all on the last day, and I was really excited because I knew I was getting close, and my boyfriend is coming home soon, so I wanted it to be done because I didn't think he would appreciate having our entire living room floor dedicated to my puzzles, although I'm sure he would put up with it because he's wonderful. But that last section there, that's on the left side, that's France, and you can see the Eiffel Tower there, and I was just having the hardest time. I did not know what that was. It ended up being people. I think some ballet dancers, and it kind of bleeds into the Britain section, and so then there's some like the, what do you call them? The guards at the Buckingham Palace. You can see the box a little bit here. You can see I've really gotten down just to a few pieces. They're all right side up, so I can look at them all at this point. And again, you'd think it would be faster, but now I finally got down to the very end and it's done. So thanks for watching. Bye.